Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar by SolutionXchg on efficient and effective data archiving for SAP. We're very glad that you could attend and hope you will find the topic interesting. My name is Kristen Gerling, and I will be your host and presenter for this session today. I'm a managing partner with SolutionXchg and have close to 18 years of SAP consulting experience, mainly with the financial modules. Like finance, asset accounting, and so on. And plus, I also have 11 years of experience with SAP archiving and imaging. Up front, a few administrative items. Our presentation today will take about 15 minutes. It is part of our knowledge injection series, therefore these are very short mini webinars. All participants are on mute during the full duration of the webinar, and please post any questions or concerns through the questions function in your administration panel on the right side of your screen. If you cannot hear us or cannot see the presentation, please also alert us through the question panel. We will send out a transcript to those who are interested after the webinar, and you can let us know through an email to info@solutionxchg.com. That is info@solutionxchg.com. But let me get started right away, and we'll start talking a little bit about what data archiving entails, the benefits and challenges. Data archiving is really truly an administrative task as part of your regular SAP system administration. Without it, customers eventually face problems or can face problems with their system's performance, or in some cases they can no longer complete administrative tasks such as backups or system upgrades. For example, when your SAP database gets to a size and you need to quickly provide a training system or another QA system, or you're preparing for a Unicode upgrade, a substantially large SAP system can create challenges and difficulties doing these tasks. So SAP actually urges their customers to start thinking about a data archiving strategy right when you're in the middle of your implementation, but unfortunately most customers are so busy that they have to push this out aside, and they kind of wait until the performance is at a point where they really need to act fast. So data archiving focuses on maintaining a reasonable growth rate of the database. That is, in the beginning, you're going to see, when you're introducing data archiving, you're going to see actually your database shrinking. But over the years and as time goes by, your business activity actually increases, and the size of your database actually grows much faster than during the first years after implementation of the SAP system. And then your task really becomes to keeping that database growth as minimal as possible. While you're taking data offline when doing a data archiving project, you have to ensure the access that the business user community requires, and you have to guarantee that. And the access also has to be guaranteed according to internal and external regulations, so you have to store the files and maintain them or keep them until their retention has been reached. So embarking on a data archiving project is accompanied with challenges as well. Taking data offline is not always well received by your business user community. There's anxiety as far as, oh, if I don't have my online data anymore, I'm hesitant to give IT the approval to take it offline. The retrieval capabilities on some of the data archiving objects are limited to what the SAP standard provides, and that's not always what the users expect. And for certain archiving objects, you even no longer have access to what SAP calls the document flow, that when you're in a finance transaction that you can drill down all the way into your sales and distribution transactions and so on. So all these interrelated documents once you've archived a link out of that chain, the document flow is no longer possible. Learning to make the most out of those standard SAP retrieval mechanisms can result in intensive user training, and also one major hurdle in data archiving projects is when you're looking, for example, at archiving the FI document archive object, is that you have to make sure that a Dart project has been already completed and is in place, and the Dart extracts are being run on your system, or that you have other methods or means to actually extract any tax-related data that is required by your auditors. So when you're in the midst of a project and you find out that, oh, now we have to implement Dart, that can prolong, of course, the project duration, and can make it a lot more expensive than you initially budgeted for. Also, the limited retrieval capabilities are a major concern when engaging in any data archiving project, and they have to be addressed during the project, and that is very critical when you're starting scoping out any engagements and doing data archiving. So the big two risks are, the major ones are your retrieval that is impacted, as well as that you need to find methods to do these text extractions prior to actually archiving these objects, because most of these text extraction tools require the data that they are extracting to be online data. So the extracts have to be created before you're doing your data archiving run on objects that are contributing to these extracts. For example, the FI document one. These risks can actually be in some cases mitigated by introducing two tools. One is the PBS archiving add-ons. Those enhance the retrieval capability of your offline data, and the other tool is called the TJC-Audit Extraction Cockpit, which allows auditors to create their own extracts based on online as well as offline data. And those are the two tools that we take a closer look during this presentation. PBS offers various archive add-ons for different modules or different archiving objects in SAP. As you can see, there's various for cost accounting, there's various archive add-ons for the logistics module, for master data, even for the specific SAP business tools like ISU for utilities, and so on. These add-ons are implemented as SAP transports, so they're basically your retrieval transactions that you're used to, copied and enhanced to provide retrieval mechanisms so that the user does not get impacted, has a simultaneous, has a similar retrieval experience as they have for their online data. And that includes the document flow, that includes any attached images that have been attached to the actual transaction. These add-ons are strictly ABAP code, so they're totally integrated into your SAP environment, and they're certified and supported by SAP. Now let's have a closer look at how this actually looks like from a user experience. My example here is the vendor line item display transaction. What you see here is a screenshot of the selection screen of the PBS vendor line item transaction, and it looks very, very similar, almost identical to the regular SAP standard FBL1N transaction. The only difference really is that in this little status box here, you actually have the option to select what kind of data do you want to pull up with this report. And you can select that you want to look at online data as well as offline data, or only online data or only offline data. These screenshots here take you through what I've explained with the document flow. So when you're running this report and you're seeing a vendor line item that you would like to drill into, you can actually drill into, and you can go to any subsequent transactions that are part of this document flow by using this special PBS add-on, and also, of course, any attachments that you have created or scanned documents that you have attached to this actual business transaction in SAP, even though it is archived. PBS archive add-ons, the major benefits are that your retrieval becomes very transparent for the user, and it's a very user-friendly software by simulating the normal transaction codes that users go through in order to do their retrieval, and providing the same experience when looking at online versus offline data. And like I said, you can always simultaneously retrieve from the database as well as the archive, or you can segregate and say, oh, I just want to run a report on specific archive data. You have the flexibility with these tools to do whatever, to narrow down your search on whatever you're looking for. The navigation options are unique because, unlike with standard SAP retrieval mechanisms, you have the access to the document flow so that you can jump from an FI transaction to the logistic invoice that was created through Miro. There's all the capabilities that you're currently used to out of your SAP system. And like I mentioned before, all these add-ons are SAP certified, and they're kept certified with all the SAP release levels. Now let's take a look at the other main challenge. We were just focusing right now on the big challenge that you can face during a data archiving implementation with retrieval. Now let's focus on the data extraction. When we're faced with, we need to implement an archiving object in order to relieve the SAP production system, but that would require the implementation of a data of Dart or something similar, create similar own reports to do this kind of extraction. So Dart is SAP's native data extraction tool, but it can only extract online data. This means that with, for example, the archiving object FI document, all relevant Dart extracts for the time period of the data that you want to archive have to be extracted with the Dart tools to keep your tax auditors happy that actually import those into their software and do your tax audit with it. So you have to have the Dart mechanisms and the configuration for all the extracts in place. You have to actually run these extracts for the same time period of data that you're intending to do your archiving runs at a later point in time on. That results that you have to work very, very closely with your tax department and probably your mainly your finance group, who are relying on these extracts and who are actually passing those extracts on to your tax auditors. And this collaboration can be, of course, time-consuming and increase the duration tremendously of your data archiving implementation. Apart from the tax auditors, apart from that, the tax auditors are actually sometimes when they're within their audit and when they're really trying to get things done fast, putting an immense pressure on your business user community that is dealing with these with this tax-related information, but also then with your SAP basis and systems administrators, because they require these audits to be instantly require the extracts to be instantly created for them, and sometimes these extracts are very, very large. The size is very large. The runtime is very long, and your basis group will prefer to run these off hours, or they need to make sure that they have enough file system space available for the extract to be stored towards. So it's not an instant thing that can be turned around quickly in most cases, and it would be a great thing to actually have business users and auditors be able to create their own extracts. Well, with the TJC-Audit Extraction Cockpit, that is possible, and it's not only and the nice thing about it, it's also is that it allows you to actually do these extracts with taking offline as well as online data into account, which then takes the pressure off your data archiving project, because you're not really bound to having the Dart implementation or any other extract utility that you create yourself put in place before you can actually do your data archiving. The system administrators actually do still have control. Even with the TJC-Audit Extraction Cockpit, there are certain validation parameters that they can set up so that when an extract doesn't meet that validation criteria, they still have to be involved and can still schedule or create do whatever they need as far as create file system space and so on, so that the auditor is not just, or the business user cannot just fire off any type of extract. There are validation mechanisms that limit certain certain extracts to get generated on the fly automatically. But let me show you how this actually works. So an auditor actually can configure what type of extract he wants to create. He can choose the content and the file format. He can decide on if he wants to schedule this on a regular schedule to run this audit, this extract on a regular schedule, or if it's a one-time extract, and he can do everything so that it is just like a regular SAP job that is run automatically, scheduled in SAP. Now, if that auditor's extract meets all the validation requirements and the system administrator set up, the audit extract automatically gets created and transferred to a Windows file system. If it doesn't, then the system administrator can go in and adjust job parameters and decide when this job is going to run and where it's being stored. From this Windows file system, the auditor then can pull the file and load it into their tax auditing software and continue to work with the software that they're most familiar with, and create your tax statements and so on. Now I would like to show you also the look and feel, how this looks like in SAP. Again, this is a solution that is programmed or was developed using ABAP and is fully residing inside of SAP in its own namespace with its own transaction names. and is totally similar to most of the other configuration transactions that you're used to. You can click different buttons here to define an extract, to look at pending extracts, to actually run an extract, to look at finished extracts, to create periodic extracts. These are the scheduled ones where you run them on regular intervals. This is just to show you the different tabs. When you're in the configuration, you can combine different tables for your extract. You can even include certain fields when you're configuring that, if you want to not just dump the whole table but just specify on certain fields. And this is what an extract looks like for financial data, for example. Again, as a summary, this solution is for internal and external auditors or your people in your tax department to actually create all the data dumps out of SAP that they require. It is a software product that was designed with an auditing company together, and so it really was targeted for this specific user group to be intuitive and to get them what they need out of SAP. It can still be controlled and administered by SAP system administrators. It's fully integrated into your SAP landscape, and it allows you to extract multiple data formats like ACL, IDEA, or Excel. The big plus in a data archiving project is that it actually allows you to do extracts online and offline of online and offline data, and therefore you don't need to wait for an extraction report or extract to be configured. That can be done after you're done with your data archiving project, because whatever the auditor or whatever your tax department person is going to configure, they'll always have access to the archived as well as the online data. So you don't have that necessary predecessor step of having those extracts configured and run prior to actually taking data offline off your SAP system. In summary, both products can help you to keep moving your data archiving project forward and help you to not have too many delays or an unhappy user community when it comes to retrievals. Now let me tell you a little bit about SolutionXchg. SolutionXchg is a system integrator and consulting company that focuses on all the different consulting topics about archiving and imaging. We do business process analysis, we do SAP module customizing, project management, enterprise content management, and any other tasks that are related to your projects around archiving and imaging. We also are a reseller for various products, and I want to highlight them quickly for you. XFT, we have a personnel file, electronic personnel file solution, as well as an AP invoice processing solution. These are imaging solutions where your business process is made more efficient by using SAP workflow, as well as images or scanned documents to make your processing in SAP go smoother and faster. KGS is our content server for storage product, which is an archive link compliant and BCILM 3.0 compliant content server solution. Eternity ICAS is a middleware that can turn any NAS or SAN storage into warm compliant storage. That is, if you have requirements where you have to meet SOX requirements or BASEL or HIPAA or any of those regulatory requirements to actually keep your data for a certain number of years in a tamper-proof state, and you have to prove that these files cannot be manipulated with, then the Eternity software is a right fit for that. And of course the TJC products as well as PBS products that we've highlighted today. Actually, next week we have the third session of our mini webinar of this knowledge injection series, and that is on the XFT AP invoice managing suite. So if you have time next week, I think Tuesday 11 and Thursday 4 o'clock are our sessions. We always try to have a good slot for our East Coast or Central audience and one good slot for our West Coast audience. Well, this concludes the presentation section of today's webinar. We hope you enjoyed the past few minutes and got some good takeaways from this presentation. Thank you for listening. I'm opening now the floor for you guys to post your questions. Again, the question panel is on the right-hand side of your GoToWebinar administration panel. Please feel free to post your questions. One person in our audience asked if the PBS solution requires its own hardware or server. No, these are really truly ABAP-based transports that go into your SAP system. They do not require any additional hardware. They're code that just goes into the SAP system in its own namespace, and that applies for the TJC solution as well. Any further questions? Okay, I can't see any other people raising their hand having questions, so this concludes our session for today. I want to thank you very, very much for participating. Again, if you would like to have a transcript of the slides, please feel free to contact us at info@SolutionXchg.com. So info@SolutionXchg.com. info@SolutionXchg.com. Thanks again and have a great day. Bye-bye.